sleeping. Both feeling pretty beat up. That gun battle really took a toll on us. Marjot was so sick in a couple different ways. She was having a worse time than I was, apparently. The place was still kind of a mess. There's dead bodies laying around. Our cats were slowly recovering, which is interesting. We'd lost quite a few of them little guys. Not even sure where they came from, though. They just showed up one day. Maybe we'll end up keeping one of them as a long-term pet. We slept in the next day. Marjot got up around 7. Brought me a meal in bed. That's pretty nice of her. And then she had a meal herself. She also fed a meal to one of the cats that couldn't get up. She really cares for those little guys. We had a whole bunch of work to do. I got up and started hauling bodies right away. Didn't want to be seeing all these dead guys laying around. So we hauled bodies, hauled the dead cats. Marjot got back to the business of research. Figured out microelectronics. We had to take a couple step backs. Figure out smithing, though. I was visiting Butter's grave. Poor old dog. Probably a good thing he passed when he did. Not to live through this horrible mess. I worked on the traps. Marjot went to bed. She was still needing more sleep than usual, given her illnesses. I spent some time repairing the walls, trying to get things back in order all across the place here. I got some of the good medicine, tended Marjot up, and continued repairing walls. Had myself a meal later on, about 9 o'clock, and then there were still more walls to work on. Decided to bring Marjot food in bed before I laid down myself. She got up right after I went down. She started researching and taking care of some cleaning stuff. She's right on top of that. About that time, a bunch of outlanders came. They fell down out of the sky. Hot and heavy, once again. Seemed like it never ends around here. They're definitely going to have to get rid of these helmets at some point. Seems like that's what they're all looking for. Marjot ran in, grabbed one of them psychic shock lances. She said she was going to use it on whichever one of them fellas had the worst weapon. And that's probably a dang good idea. One of them had an incendiary launcher. So she picked it up, brought it outside, and used it on that fella. Didn't burn this guy up though, so that was good. Down he went, dropped his gun. He was having a hard time. We were still laying in bed otherwise. Marjot didn't have a weapon. She was laying there thinking about what to equip herself with. She ended up taking that huge spear rifle. Thing packs a punch, but it just shoots so slow, it hardly seems worth it. Marjot also had a shield belt on. She was going to have to drop that. Those raiders came charging in, got right up on our traps. A few of them died on the traps, and then the rest of them decided to get on out of there. Turns out, these people weren't as smart as the last ones. We had one fella survive, having stepped on the trap. We were running out there to give the ones that were running away the business. These weren't even the pirates, these are just some outlanders. Not really sure what their beef is with us. Poor woman named Una was running away. I shot her dead though. No mercy after the stuff we've been through around here, man. Once we realized though these weren't pirates, we decided maybe if we help a few of these people out, their friends, leave us alone. Maybe we could all be good together. Not all pissed off and shooting each other up all the time. So, that said, we decided to capture the 2 people that had survived. Marjot was going to take the closer one, given her need for rest. Now he's gonna run on over and get the other fella. Pick up his gun while I was there. And we'd have more traps to build. Marjot got one of them put in bed, tended up. Seemed like she'd be just fine. I brought the other guy over. He recovered right away from his psychic shock as soon as I got him in the prison cell. Marjot had herself a beer and she was back to bed. I was just hauling stuff around, getting things tidied up. We decided we were going to build ourselves a smelter and see if we could get rid of some of the junk that was laying around. We could use some extra steel, and we didn't need a bunch of knives laying about that were half worn out. So I made some plans for that. We also had a bunch of bodies to haul once again. And our kitty seemed to be fully recovered about that time as well. So that was nice, seeing that little guy get back up to his crazy little antics. I tended up Marjot, and then I released that dude. Said his name was Fish. Certainly smelled bad enough. I gave the other prisoner a meal. Sure enough, Fish leaving made those people happy with us. Not happy enough not to attack us, sadly, but we sent Damon on his way as soon as he was capable of walking. And he cheerily left. And once again, relations seemed to have improved. I was rebuilding traps. Marjot was researching. I decided to stop for a beer. There's no time like now. Marjot came on in, got herself a beer, and joined me. That was nice. We had a little bit of time just to hang out and chat. I had to get myself to bed even though it was only 6 p.m. So tired, couldn't think straight. Marjot did a bunch of cleaning, and then she came off to bed as well. We got news of a power claw nearby, which would be pretty cool, being that Marjot has more of an inclination for that kind of hand-to-hand combat versus gun stuff. So we're going to keep that in mind. We had a lot of work to do around here yet before we could go traipsing around, but there's a chance. Plus that strange fungus is still growing nearby. I still don't know what it is or what it does. It seemed to be spreading though, and I did not like that. I finished repairing everything, working on the floors that we had missed before. Felt like a never-ending job keeping this place in order. There's a wolf that killed a raccoon right outside the wall where I was working. They had had a heated battle. I just kept on doing what I was doing. Marjot went to bed about noon. Poor girl's still feeling pretty bad. I was getting close to having all the walls taken care of. Ended up having myself a meal. We had a cat coming in, trying to kill one of our cats. But closing the door made it rethink its job. Went about its business and attacked some of them pigs instead. Decided I was going to have to do this mining so I could get this place filled in. Didn't need anything weird tunneling up on us. Rumors have it this planet's good for that. I built a smelter next. That was in order. And going to have to set up some plans, what to get rid of, what not to. Tended Marjot up, did a damn good job. This medicine made doctoring pretty easy. Mostly it just did everything itself. Who would have thought smart medicine would be a thing? And Marjot was running around cleaning like crazy. But one thing that issue she was having was gave her some crazy amounts of speed. She was back to bed about 3 a.m. Still in pain. She had recovered from one of her illnesses, which was fantastic. But the other one, not quite. I had myself a meal when I got up and started planting the rice. Some of it had already started rotting away, so we might need another crop before too long. Marjot got back to research after cleaning, occasionally taking a break to lay around. I just worked on planting rice. Just need to get that stuff done. So I stayed focused. Our cats are running around, crazy little things, cannibalizing their dead friends. It's a little bit disturbing, but I guess they don't know the difference. About 3 p.m. I had myself a beer, and Marjot was in bed. It was nice and quiet for once. Didn't even hear any kitties meowing. I finished up the last of the rice, and chopped down a tree that was at the entryway. Can't be giving people cover. And then I got to the business of cooking more meals. Marjot got up and had a meal. A meteorite came down nearby. Shook the house, but didn't cause any damage. Looked like compacted steel, which could be useful at some point. I was off to bed about 11, and Marjot joined me before too long. And it was a little bit of happy time for us both. Marjot seemed to have fully recovered, and that was paying off for me, if you catch my drift. I got up at 6 a.m. again, had a meal, started doing some cooking. Decided maybe I'd better do the smelting so we have some extra space to store crap. One of our cats appeared to be pregnant as well. That could be a mess. Who knows how many little kittens going to be running around here before too long. Marjot worked on cutting stone. I worked on smelting. The room is getting to be quite a mess. That it was what it was. We were thinking about replacing our wooden bedroom with some stone ones. But that's a lot of work. Seems a bit unnecessary. I got back to mining. Marjot kept on breaking blocks down, seeing if she could get rid of all the nearby ones anyway. I had myself a meal about 5 p.m. and did a little cleaning and got back to the business of mining. And Marjot kept right on breaking down blocks. At 7 o'clock I decided to go to bed. Marjot joined me a few hours later. She certainly was feeling better. I can vouch for that. Then when I got up, it's 5 a.m. I had myself a meal. Started staring through the telescope. And I was watching the cat sleep while using the telescope. Both seemed equally as interesting to me. Decided I was going to put the fancy medicine into the bedroom where we're using it. Get rid of all the stuff that we weren't really using from there. Marjot was watching the sun come up. I was hauling blocks around. Some transport pods crashed nearby. A whole bunch of oranges came down. And that's going to be pretty useful, since I had just noticed we were running out of good meals. Had actually already run out. So instead of mining, I better get back to the business of cooking for a while. Marjot, she kept right on the research. And I mined for a little bit, moved some medicine around, and then got back to cooking. So I cooked, she researched. And we did that all day. She came in about 10 and had a beer, but I was too tired. Had to get myself off to bed. She came not too long after. Turns out the beer made her a little frisky. There was a whole swarm of pigs outside. And some big cats kept coming over and attacking them once in a while. We were just going to stay out of the animal world over there. Do our own thing. Marjot figured out smithing, jumped right into machining. If we could figure out machining, we could take apart these robot bodies we had over here. See what they're made of, maybe get some usable resources. And I cooked until I didn't feel like it anymore. I went and got to the business. More mining. I was going to have to get through that. It's the next priority. Plus that'd give us a ton of steel on hand. Marjot kept right on researching. I had a beer, did some cleaning. Got back to the business of mining. She eventually got tired, had herself a meal. That seemed to revitalize her. We were digging through these beers like nobody's business, swilling them down. Probably hampering our efforts a little bit in general, but that's alright. It certainly was keeping us happy. The mining cave was pretty disgusting. That was making me a little crabby, but it was what it was. We were both to bed, about 11 o'clock. And when we got up, did a little bit of reorganization. Moved the light, moved the smelting table. Just trying to make some more sensible space. Marjot was working with the cats. Trying to keep them trained up. You know, cats are pretty hit or miss, but she seemed to be having some luck once in a while. I cut some trees, hauled stuff around. Had myself a meal. Decided at some point we were going to have to find some pack animals. I was thinking about that as I was using the telescope. Marjot was researching. Somebody contacted us saying they were being chased. We had enough problems going on, so we ignored it. I chopped some trees, got the stuff carried in. If I was going to get rid of these helmets, which seemed to be why everybody was attacking us so furiously, I was going to have to get some pack animals to haul some stuff out to some nearby cities and settlements, see if we could sell this stuff off. God knows we don't need it or want it. Marjot was watching the moon rise. I was working on some of the last of the mining. I had myself a meal, and then we were both off to bed. It's about 10 o'clock. For once, she was feeling 100% happy. I was almost there too. And we were both healthy. Healthy as could be, in fact. She got up about 6 a.m. and went to research, and I went right to mining. And it did give us a ton of steel, so we were set in that regard. I was going to build a bunch of walls and structure around, see if I could block this cave off. Don't need anything weird popping out of it. I did a little bit of breaking down stone chunks into blocks. Marjot researched, worked with the cats. I was visiting Butter's grave once again around noon. It was overcast and foggy. Otherwise, it was a decent day, pleasant temperature. I filled in that whole area. Marjot had been researching the whole time. I decided it was probably time to make a bunch more meals before I committed to anything else. I mentioned to Marjot keeping an eye out for any kind of pack animal. She had a beer and I had a meal, and then I got to cooking. She just hung out and chatted before doing some cleaning. And we were both back to bed, 10 o'clock once again. Another fine day had passed. Things actually felt pretty peaceful and nice here for once. Minus the fact that we were behind traps, with turret guns sitting out, trying to protect ourselves. You could almost forget about that. Marjot kept working on research. I kept working on making meals. Those pigs kept getting attacked and killed by other animals nearby. I made fine meals. I made packaged survival meals. We had a fair amount of them, but I was shooting for 50. I was off to bed about 4 p.m., just feeling real tired. Marjot hauled some steel around, trying to get things put in the right place here so we knew where it was when we needed it. She finished researching machining and jumped right onto gunsmithing. Seemed like a logical next choice. At some point we'd need to build ourselves some turrets. We didn't want to disassemble the one we had to figure it out. Some visitors were passing by. Maybe not visitors, just some random people apparently. We weren't going to bother them if they didn't bother us. About midnight, Marjot came to bed. I got up about 1 a.m., decided to get right back to work. The place is kind of a mess, and some cargo pods fell nearby. Lo and behold, it was gold. Somebody's trying to sabotage us, I think. Once word gets out that we have this, what's going to come down on our heads? There's a little bit of steel nearby again, so I decided I was going to mine that out. It was also kind of a creepy water cave, but I hoped nobody would mess with it. Somebody wanted some plasteel in exchange for a nice leg and some kind of psychic emanator. They weren't too far away either, so I was keeping those on the list of things to do. If I could get a few pack animals together here, I could definitely get out and make those things happen. The giant cat was hunting one of our little cats again. So I whistled all the kitties inside. And that seems to have solved the problem. Unfortunately for the nearest pig, he got mauled right after that. Those pigs are real whipping boys around here apparently. The animal kingdom. Marjot was researching this whole time. I'd been doing some mining, planning to rebuild a little wall section. Trying to sturdy up our exterior here. That's what I did. I wasn't going to be able to fill in that whole cave. If anything sprouts out of there, it's going to be weird, but we'll have to deal with it. I could build a bunch of bridges, but that seems like a hassle. I had myself a meal at 2 in the afternoon, did a bunch of cleaning. Then I played horseshoes while Marjot researched. Seemed like we're both having a good time right now. She loved researching. Next up, I had to deal with the plants. And some alpacas had showed up. So Marjot went over, did some talking to them, see if she could get them to agree to join us. They weren't having it though. I plucked rice out of the ground for a while. Marjot was hell-bent on recruiting these animals. But as she was talking to them, they all fell asleep. So off she went. And she brought in the rice that I'd plucked. And she was off to bed right around midnight. And when I got up, it was 2 a.m. I had a meal. Got right back to dealing with the rice. And then I was back to bed about 4 a.m. Might as well get some good sleep in while I can. Marjot said she was feeling pretty inspired as I got out of bed again. Not sure what that's going to amount to, but at least she's feeling good. That's a positive thing. I was plucking rice as rice was rotting away. Marjot was trying to tame them alpaca and not having any luck. I had rice laying everywhere. Whatever that's worth. Marjot, she kept working those alpacas. I was just laying there watching the clouds float by. Feeling pretty decent for once. And then I got back to the business of working on the rice. One of them big cats that got into it with one of them pigs. Started a big battle. Decided maybe we'd nab that cat, see if we could butcher him up. And we were going to need more meat before too long. And there was a bunch of free meat just laying around here. And so Marjot ran on out to do the job. And then she got it hauled back in. Thinking about taking them pigs, but the animals picked them apart pretty well. They were looking pretty disgusting. I was finally breaking down those robot bodies we'd kept. And I was able to find some usable stuff there. Marjot had dumped that cat in the wrong location. So we had to figure out about getting it brought inside, which wasn't too much effort. Still a whole slew of rice laying around as well. I caught wind of a dead squirrel. Thought maybe that'd be interesting to butcher. It's a little macabre, I guess. We were off to bed. 11 p.m. again. Once again feeling pretty decent. I was soaking wet. She was a little crabby about all the corpses she'd seen laying around. But it was what it was. And when we got up, she had herself a meal. Decided to do a bunch of cleaning. There's stuff that needed hauling all over the place here. But she tossed horseshoes. I got up and had a meal and started doing the hauling. No reason to complain though. Everything's going pretty great around here at the minute. So I'm going to let it roll. All the rice was dealt with. I wasn't going to plant any more straight away. There was a pig laying over there. Decided why not. We'd certainly need the meat. And there might be a time when there was no animals about. Marjot continued working with those alpacas. Still not having any luck. I think for how many times she tried. And finally, she got one of them. Seemed a bit friendly. I found some compacted machinery nearby and started mining that out. We're gonna need more components if we're ever gonna figure out how to build a spaceship. I'm sure it's gonna take a ton of them. So I hauled that back, had myself a meal and started tossing them horseshoes again. And Marjot, she kept right on researching. We had critters everywhere, and that's alright. Marjot figured out gunsmithing, jumped right on top of the blowback operation. Trying to make some real fancy guns. We both went on a cleaning spree. I stuck to it a little longer than she did. She was eager to get back to research. And about 11 o'clock, once again, back to bed. We had a gazelle decide to come over here and be friendly about that time. Turns out, though, gazelles aren't pack animals. So we decided we were going to butcher it, despite its friendly nature. I woke up and had a meal and got back to cleaning. That gazelle was just hanging out. Seemed to be having a good time, didn't know what was coming for it. Marjot tossed horseshoes. Then she decided to deal with the gazelle before either of us got attached to it. I just kept right on cleaning. Things have been let go around here, and it was a real nightmare. Marjot kept working with those other two animals, seeing if we could get another alpaca. Still not having much luck, but she'd work on it till she got it. One of our cats killed a bunny. That was pretty crazy to watch. She was pregnant too. Transport pod crashed nearby. Some older woman, refugee, fell out of space. But we decided we could probably bring her in, get her taken care of and kick her out. Maybe help make those people a little more friendly with us than they already were. Certainly wouldn't hurt to have less enemies around here, that's for sure. So I went out there and got her. Marjot was running around too. And I ended up getting that woman tended up. Decided to put a little shelf in. Maybe I could get some medicine nearby. I wouldn't have to run around looking for it. After she was taken care of, I had a meal. Marjot kept right on researching. Yeah, I had a beer. Marjot had a meal. And we socialized a bit, which was nice. The prisoner was fully healed about that time. And I built a shelf for the medicine in that room. Marjot was watching the moon. I was feeding the prisoner. He was set for release, but she was still pretty beat up. Seemed to be having a hard time, so we just let her heal up for a bit. Marjot and I had a good night. I'm sure that prisoner heard us through the wall, but it was what it was. Everything was feeling pretty great for the minute. Place was clean. We were working on getting some more animals together. Our cats were happy and healthy, pregnant even. We had tons of food, warmth. We didn't have anything to complain about for once.